Thank you for tuning in to V News. You're watching the bulletins. Coming up next, we have your top stories. State President greets newly accredited ambassadors. Chief of the General Staff of Laos, Suvorn Luangbunmi, visits Vietnam. Vietnam-Cambodia Joint Committee convenes in Ho Chi Minh City. On October 19, State President Trương Tấn Sang hosted separate receptions for the newly accredited ambassadors of Belgium, Finland, Switzerland, the European Union, Ireland and Iran. Welcoming Belgian Ambassador Johanny Rokas, President Sang stressed that Vietnam attaches great importance to its growing relationship with Belgium. He said after the signing of the free trade agreement between Vietnam and the EU, trade turnover between the two countries is expected to exceed the current $2 billion benchmark. For her part, Ambassador Rokas stated that during her tenure, she will focus on pushing cooperation in various fields, particularly in agriculture, food processing and logistics, among others. Receiving Finnish Ambassador Ilkka-Pekka Simila, President Trương Tấn Sang affirmed Vietnam always prioritizes strengthening and boosting its relations with traditional friends in North Europe, including Finland. He stated that the Vietnam-EU Free Trade Agreement will create a stronger momentum for the two countries to elevate economic, trade and investment ties. Agreeing with the President's views, Ambassador Simila expressed her wish that bilateral cooperation will expand to potential fields, including information technology and environment. Hosting Swiss Ambassador Beatrice Meyser-Malor, President Sang asked the two sides to increase collaboration at international forums. He expressed his wish to receive Switzerland's support for Vietnam's candidacy for the non-permanent membership of the UN Security Council for the 2020 to 2021 tenure. Swiss Ambassador Mahler asserted that her country will further cooperation with Vietnam in the fields of its forte, including education, scientific research, and tourism. At a meeting with EU Ambassador Bruno Angelet, the state president expressed his belief that the free trade agreement between EU and Vietnam will be signed late this year, creating a breakthrough for bilateral trade. Ambassador Bruno Angelet said EU always attaches importance to developing relations with Asian countries, including Vietnam, affirming that the EU, along with Vietnam, will try harder for the fine cooperation between the two sides. Receiving Ireland's Ambassador Cassid Moran, the state leader affirmed that Vietnam consistently places importance on its friendship and cooperation with Ireland, especially as the two nations are looking towards the 20th founding anniversary of diplomatic ties. President Sang hoped that the two sides will maintain development cooperation, with priorities given to poverty reduction, personnel training, and improving the capacity of state agencies. Receiving Iranian Ambassador Saleh Adibi, President Sang expressed his delight at the growing relationship between Vietnam and Iran, with the increase of high-ranking delegation exchanges. In the coming time, he hoped that the ambassador and Vietnamese relevant agencies will cooperate to further boost investment and trade ties. On his part, Ambassador Adibi affirmed that Iran will assist Vietnam in oil and gas exploitation and consider the possibility of investing in Vietnam's oil and gas industry, as well as the exchange of technical and training experts in oil refinery. Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng hosted a reception in Hanoi on October 19th for Lieutenant General Suvorn Luangbunmi, Chief of the General Staff and Deputy Minister of Defense of Laos, who is on a working visit to Vietnam.
Prime Minister Dũng spoke highly of the outcome of talks between the Vietnamese and Lao chiefs of the General Staff. He stressed that the Lao military officers' visit makes practical contributions to promoting cooperation between two countries, especially the two armies' friendship. The government leader also praised the cooperation between two General Staff units and the two armies in general. He affirmed that the Vietnamese government always takes consideration and creates favorable conditions for the two armies to step up their bilateral cooperation intensively and extensively. For his part, the Lao officer said his visit is aimed at deepening the cooperation, friendship, and mutual understanding between two armies. He affirmed the Lao Army will do its best to preserve the Vietnam-Lao traditional friendship, special solidarity, and comprehensive cooperation.
As part of his working visit to Laos from October 15 to 19th, President of the Vietnam People's Supreme Procuracy Nguyễn Hòa Bình was received by Prime Minister Thongsin Thamavong.
At the reception, Bing informed the Lao leader of the talks between the two agencies and the outcomes of the fourth conference between the people's procuracies of the country's border provinces held in Luang Prabang, Laos on October 16 and 17. The two sides agreed to boost cooperation in crime prevention and combat through rapid information sharing, experience exchanging, and effectively responding to legal assistance requests in criminal matters, especially in the fight against transnational organized drug and human trafficking crimes. For his part, Prime Minister Thongsin Thamavong asked the two sides to enhance information sharing and experience exchange to broaden their coordination in suppressing crime. He also thanked the Vietnamese party, government and people, as well as the Vietnam People's Supreme Procuracy for their enormous support to his country in personnel training, which contributes to the consolidation of the nation's special amity.
The 14th plenary meeting of the Vietnam-Cambodia Joint Committee on Cooperation on Economics, Culture, Science and Technology took place in Ho Chi Minh City on October 19th. Our reporters with the full story.
The event was co-chaired by Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Phạm Bình Minh, who is also chairman of the Vietnam-Cambodia Cooperation Subcommittee, and his Cambodian counterpart, Ho Nam Hong. The two sides reviewed the implementation of agreements reached at the 13th plenary meeting of the committee. They said the two countries have seen strong growth in cooperation in economics, trade and investment, with two-way trade reaching $3.3 billion in 2014. By the end of 2014, Vietnam had 167 investment projects in Cambodia, with total capital of $3.46 billion. The two sides agreed to accelerate border demarcation and border marker planting in order to ensure peace, security, and bilateral cooperation in border areas. They emphasized protection and sustainable use of water resource from the Mekong River, while fostering cooperative ties with Greater Mekong sub-region nations.
Vietnam's rubber export volume is expected to reach 1.1 million tons in 2015, a slight increase of 3.2%. The sector hopes to rake in $1.6 billion from shipping the product abroad this year.
A report from the Ministry of Industry and Trade reveals that rubber export volume hit 760,000 tons during the first 9 months of 2015, with an export turnover of $1.09 billion. However, the rubber industry has faced high inventories and decreasing selling prices. Vietnamese rubber are now exported to 70 markets worldwide, with its earnings from the Chinese market reduced from 70% in the previous years to below 50% at present. Besides emerging markets such as Malaysia and India, shipments to the US still maintain its stable growth.
The Vietnam Cotton and Spinning Association has reported that domestic suppliers of cotton can only meet 2% of the demand, resulting in a strong influx of imports. In the first 9 months of 2015, Vietnam imported over 811,000 tons of cotton, exceeding $1.3 billion, 17% higher than the same period of last year. Domestic businesses are looking for new suppliers with the hope of finding good quality material sources and with stable prices. It is estimated that by the end of 2015, cotton imports will reach $1.8 billion. The association said in 2014, Vietnam imported cotton from 21 African countries with a total turnover of $321 million, 20% higher than in 2013. However, since most cotton trading contracts between Vietnam and Africa are conducted through intermediary companies in France, India and Switzerland, both importers and exporters have faced many difficulties. The telecommunications and information technology sectors have been the leading corporate taxpayers on a list of 1,000 leading corporations, accounting for 18% of total tax payments this year.
The V1000 profile, released by the Vietnam Report Company in cooperation with the General Department of Taxation, showed total corporate tax of the enterprises reached $3.65 billion, posting an increase of 2.34% from last year and accounting for 10% of the total state budget. Of these, the top 100 corporate taxpayers contributed $2.2 billion to the state budget and accounted for more than 60% of the total 1,000 businesses. The financial sector took second place with 76 enterprises contributing 14% of the total. The food, beverage, and tobacco have the highest number in the list with 110 businesses. However, the sector's tax contribution to the V1000 was only 11% of the total. Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City continue to take the lead in the number of businesses on the list. Ho Chi Minh City had 338 firms, while in Hanoi had 226. However, the tax payment in Hanoi was higher than Ho Chi Minh City, with a rate of 37% and 33% respectively.
The Vietnam House, which is being exhibited at the Expo Milan 2015, has welcomed millions of visitors. Our reporters will bring you more details.
Made of bamboo, the Vietnam House is one of the most attractive destinations to visitors who come to study the country's unique culture via traditional art performances, fine arts, handicraft products, and traditional dishes. During the course of 6-month expo, the house had attracted 4,000 to 5,000 visitors per day. With the theme Water and Lotus, the Vietnam House is an artwork of architect Võ Trọng Nghĩa.
I've visited the house several times. I am very impressed by the bamboo design. It is both economically and environmentally friendly. Bamboo, lotus, and water reflect Vietnam's rich traditional culture. Art performances in the house also interest me.
The Expo Milan 2015 is running from May the 1st to October 31st in northern Milan City.
Vietnam's traditional culture, cuisine, and handicrafts were introduced to international visitors at the Asian Cultural and Culinary Festival in Kiev, Ukraine on October 18th. Let's take a look. The annual event aimed to present a variety of Asian cultures and cuisines to Ukrainian people and international friends, hence enhancing the understanding between Asian nations and the host. Art performances, film screenings, traditional handicrafts, and food were among the event's highlights. Vietnam's pavilion introduced unique traditional costumes such as áo dài, or traditional long dress, conical hats, as well as handicrafts alongside art performances. Distinctive dishes including spring rolls, prawn cracker, and Trung Nguyên coffee also attracted crowds of visitors. The festival's proceeds will be donated to needy Ukrainians in the eastern region. Beautiful moments in Vietnam and the Republic of Korea are captured by photographers Vũ Bạch Liên and Lee Sang-bok. Join us to contemplate their photos. Entitled Tình, Love, their joint exhibition are displaying 42 photos. These photos are taken from experiences of the photographers in their countries and from their trips to each other's country, as Lee has worked in Vietnam as a teacher while Liên married a Korean man. Through the photos, they want to share their feelings about the countries where they live, work, and love. Lien's photos displayed at the exhibition show her delicacy, femininity, and the feelings of a Vietnamese woman whose husband is a Korean. The exhibition will run until October 26 at the Korean Cultural Center, 489 Nguyễn Du Street, Hanoi. And that has wrapped up our news bulletin. Thank you for your attention. For more information, please log on to our website at www.vietnamplus.vn. Goodbye for now.